Hello and welcome back to Harriet's Custom Computer Art Plus. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the folding staple-on labels for crayons and coloring books. This once again is based on a subscriber's request, so let's get started. First of all, I'm going to go here to File, New, and seeing that most of the coloring books are made from a folded 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper or sheets of paper. I'm going to make my label 4 inches by 5.75 inches. The 5.75 is based on the half fold of an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper. 11 inches divided by 2 is 5.5, and then I like to add a 1/4 inch or 0.25 inch extra so that it overlaps the bag a little bit and is a little larger than the folded coloring book. So I have here entered for my height 4 inches high by 5.7 inches wide, and I'm going to go ahead and hit done. Now I'm going to go to size and position, alignment guides, and I'm going to choose one horizontal guide. Click that one time and it puts a line right through the middle of your label. This is the setup of the label. We're going to have one side of the label here on a 2 inch by 5.75 inch side and the reverse of the label on this side. So let's get started with our background. I have all the graphics that I wanted open, which is only a background and one extra graphic. For this design, I'm just going to left click on the background and drag it and drop it up into my label template. I'm going to click I move it all the way into the left corner by left clicking and dragging it up to the left corner, and now I'm going to click on the right corner and drag it all the way down until that full label is covered. Now I'm going to bring up my graphic, which is the cat with balloons, by doing the same thing. Just left click and drag it into your picture, and it's already a good size. If it wasn't, you could use any of these corners to resize it, but I like the size that it is already. But I do want to add a shadow with it to make it pop off the page. So I'm going to left click on it, then I'm going to go to Special Effects, Shadow. I'm going to click on Soft Shadow, and you see it puts a light shadow around the entire picture, but I'm going to enlarge it a bit because I want it to stand out a bit more, and then I'm going to drag it toward the left and bottom a little bit, which is basically called a dropped left shadow, and then I'm going to click done. And that's all we need to do for this graphic. Now we're going to add some text. And I had already been working on, as you can see, so that I can show you the finished label. I'm going to go to text, add text, and I like to choose a chunky font to use so that it's kind of thick and shows up well. And so I'm just going to resize it so that it'll be on my page. And don't worry that your grid line has disappeared, because it'll come back as soon as you close out of this text box. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to click on the E of your text here. I'm going to click on the last E and just hold and drag it over to the left side so that I can highlight that text. And I'm going to type the name of the birthday person, Maya. I think I'm going to do it in all caps because it'll stand out more. And I'm going to click done. I'm going to resize this larger, and I want to change the color of it. So I'm going to right click on it once it's chosen. If it wasn't chosen, I would click on it with my left mouse button. But once it's chosen, click right click, edit text. It brings up this menu on the side. I'm going to go to more color choices, which is the little color wheel at the bottom of the left screen. And I'm going to click in the dark pink on the page. Anywhere you click, you can choose any color that's already in the picture and it will switch to that. But I'm going to go with the dark pink, and then or you can just make your own color by going here and click it on any area you want. You can make it whatever color you want, but I like to keep it within the same color scheme. So I'm going to click on that pink and I'm going to click done. Now I can see the name, but it's not clear, so I'm going to put a highlighted edge around it so that it'll stand out more. So I'm just going to click on Apply Special Effect, Highlight Edge, and I'm actually going to highlight the edge. You click on the first choice at the bottom, which is a thick edge, and then I'm going to click on Customize the Edge because I want to change the color from red, and I think I want to change it to the brown color, this darker brown. So I'm going to click on More Color Choices. I could click in any one of these boxes and it would change to that color. But if you want to get the exact color, actually I like that dark right there, but if you want to click on the exact color that's in your design already, you click on More Color Choices, which is the color wheel, and you already know how to use the color wheel. You click anywhere in here and it gives you that same color. So I'm going to click in this brown edge, and I like the look of that, but I want that edge darker because that's not standing out enough for me. So I'm just going to go here to where it has the black and white paint splash, and I'm going to hit the down arrow, and that's going to darken that outer edge, and I'm just going to click it until it's pleasing to my eye. And of course you do the same when you're doing your own designs. So I think I have it on 32, and that stands out well. Now you can also increase that edge by pulling this slider all the way to the right, or you could take it all the way down to the left and it'll just put a thin line. But I like excuse me, I like a thicker highlighted edge, so I'm going to move it over a bit, and I think that looks good, and I'm going to hit done. Now hit done until you're completely back to this screen. Now I already have this one with the pink color that I like, and I've put that brown edge on, and now I want to add a shadow to it to also make it stand out some. So it's already chosen, so I'm going to right click, I'm going to hit edit text, and you could have done this while you were in there, but just to show you over and over again the how to use the different effects, it'll give you more practice by seeing me repeat it, of course. So I'm going to go to add a shadow, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to choose the soft shadow, but I'm not going to oversize it this time. I'm just going to drag it down and to the left a little bit, not that much. I want to just basically mimic what I did with the cat. So I'm just going to move it until I have it just a little bit, and you can see it's kind of popping up every time I move it up. That's because it's popping to the line, our horizontal gradient line that we put on there, our horizontal line right here. You don't see it, but you'll see it again once we click out of the text box. So I'm going to click done and done again, and as you can see, it snaps to that midline. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit because I didn't get my shadow where I want it, and I'm going to go back into Apply Special Effect, add a shadow, and the shadow's already there. I just need to drag it down a little bit so that it'll be pretty even with the one I put on the cat. And I also want to make it lighter because the one around the cat you can see is a little lighter than that one. So I'm going to go to Customize the Shadow, and here I can make it more transparent, which I need to do, and you see it lightened it up a bit like this one. And I also want it to be a little softer, so I'm just going to click up on this arrow just a little bit, and it'll make that shadow a little softer, make it a little more transparent. Alright, and I like how that is looking. I'm going to click done, done, done until I'm all the way back out, and now I have this text exactly like I like it. Now I'm going to add 7th birthday. So I already have this text exactly like I want it, so I'm just going to make a copy of it. I'm going to go here right next to the scissors. There's 2 sheets of paper. If you hover over it, it will say copy. So I'm going to click that once. It's going to copy the text that I have chosen here, and then right next to it is a clipboard, and that's the paste function, and I'm going to paste, and it gives me a copy of Maya. Now sometimes it will make, and this one is looks like it's a little bit larger than that writing, so if you're trying to make exact copies, sometimes you'll have to move this over the one you already have there and resize it a little bit, and this one needed a little resizing to be exactly that size. So if ever you're trying to make copies, remember it might make it larger or smaller, so you might need to move it over it just like I did to show you how to make them the same size. But I actually want this smaller because it's going to say 7th birthday, and the main thing I want to stand out is the name of the birthday person or the person being celebrated. So while we're working on this second text box, I'm going to right click on it, hit edit text. It's already highlighted this time, so I'm just going to type in 7th birthday. And as you can see, it stretches farther than I want it, so I'm just going to click on any corner so that I can keep the proportion, but I want to make it smaller. So I'll click on any corner to keep the proportion but make it smaller. I'm going to change the color of it because I don't want all of them to be the same color. So I'm going to go to more color choices, and this time I'm going to choose the white color. I can choose a different, I think maybe I'll go with this one just to bring this into our design more. So I'm going to go with this gold color. I'm going to hit done, and I'm going to hit done again. And I already have the shadow on it, the drop down shadow. It already has the highlighted edge, so I don't need to do any more to that. Now we're going to add coloring book the same way. I'm going to go here to paste because it saves whatever the last thing that you copied. So I'm just going to click the clipboard. I'm going to bring this down, shrink it down even more, and I'm going to change this to say coloring book. So it's already chosen, so I just need to right click and hit edit, which will appear when you right click. You'll see it, a menu box drop down, and in that you're going to choose edit, and then you're going to change this to coloring book. And I think I'll go back to all caps just to differentiate between the different layers of text. Coloring book. I'm going to, while I'm in here, I'm going to change this color because I want this one to be white, I think. So I'll just click in these boxes and make that white. And I'm going to click done. And now I'm going to resize this one so that it's even a little smaller than birthday, because Maya's 7th birthday is what we want to stand out the most. So now that looks good to me. And even if you want to make it stand out more, if you feel like it's not popping enough, you can go to cutout in picture, add a colored shape, choose the square if it's not already on the square, click on white, done, and then on your right hand side in your layers, click on the one we have open, left click that, hold it, and drag it down until it's right on top of your desktop. Not at your desktop, right on top of your background. So here's my background, and I just dropped it right on top of the background so that it will be underneath all of my graphic and my text. So I'm going to bring it over, and if you watch the tutorial on making the magazine, the wedding magazine, this is one of the techniques that we used in that tutorial. I'm going to bring this up a little bit because I love to have things symmetrical, and I want to have the same distance at the top as I do at the bottom. So I'm just going to eyeball that and try to get it about the same. That looks like it's about the same, so I can live with that. And now I'm going to click on that white background or that white rectangle. I'm going to go here to special effects, make transparent, and on this slider I'm going to start sliding it toward the right, and the more I slide it to the right, the more transparent it becomes. So I can take it all the way over where it completely disappears, which would be um, unnecessary. If you would just be able to delete the rectangle if you don't want it there, or if you didn't feel like going through all that, you could just take it all the way back over to 100 and it will delete it basically virtually. But I want it to show up a little bit, so I'm just going to start dragging over a little bit until that white rectangle shows up enough where it makes my lettering stand out more, and I think that looks good right there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit done. But I don't like the fact that that's a hard square edge. I'm going to move this up a little bit. I'm going to move my coloring book up a little bit because I want this a little higher. I don't want it right on that edge. Once again, I want symmetry. So I want symmetry between this space and this space. So I'm just going to resize it a little bit, that box, so that everything is pretty symmetrical. I think this needs to come down a little. All right. Okay, so now, because I don't like that hard edge on there, I'm going to soften that edge. And the way I soften that edge, I click on the white rectangle. I'm going to go over here to Edge Effects once again, but instead of highlighting the edge, I'm going to go to the third choice at the top, which is Soft Edges. So once you go to Soft Edges, it brings up this slider, and the more you slide toward the right, it will start making the edge of that box become fuzzy or kind of start to disappear. And you can go all the way over and you see it brings it where my rectangle, the edges have softened so much until the only thing you see is right here in the middle. But I like for it to still be on the, around the edge of the lettering. So I'm going to bring it down, I think maybe on 10. A lot of times I'll just type in 10 or 12 or type in a number because I know about the softness it will make it. So this is on 12, where it's still around the edge, but it has a much softer look to it. And I like that better than that hard look of the hard edge. And I'm just going back on my undo arrow to show how it looked before I did put the soft edge effect and how it looks after I put the soft edge effect. So now you have your entire design completed for your label. All is left for me to do is to put it on this side, which is the other side of the folding label. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click anywhere that's above all of the pictures or graphics and the text, just about right here, and I'm just going to drag from the left down to the bottom right so that I can choose all of this area that I need to duplicate, and I'm going to hit done. Not done, I'm going to click the puzzle piece to group it. So once I click the puzzle piece, it's all chosen in one rectangle. I'm going to go once again to the top. I'm going to click copy once, and it takes a little longer because that's a more it takes more memory to create the grouping. Now it's saved it, and I'm going to click paste. And before I move it up, I'm going to bring it down because I want to try to make sure that they're both the same size. And you can see this one came out pretty much bigger than the previous one. So I'm just going to drag by the bottom right corner, and I'm going to take it up until I see that it's pretty much the same size as the picture that I have here already. Now I'm going to move it. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to move it up to the top like this. And now we need to turn it and flip it so that it will be the exact same if I flip the label, if it was folded and I flipped the label around. So while I still have this top box or the top rectangle chosen, I'm going to go to size and position. I'm going to go to flip, which is the apple that's upside down. And then I'm going to choose both because I need it flipped and I need it turned upside down, and hit done. And now I'm just going to check my sides to make sure it's in the middle. It looks like it's in the middle of the top. It's also pretty much in the middle at the bottom. And you've just completed your folding label for the coloring book. Now, if you were making it for crayons, because crayons come in different thicknesses and they have different size bags you can buy, you would make your design the exact same way. The only thing, of course, would change is your measurements, so your pictures might be a little closer together. And for some of the bags I was looking up that hold 4 crayons, which is usually what I see whenever someone has made that design, the bags that I saw for 4 crayons measured a width of 3.5 inches. So if you were going to make this label for a crayon bag, you would go into File, New, and you would change this. You would still keep the 4 because you could still have the 2-inch tall label once it's folded, but you would just change your width. Instead of 3.75, since it's 3.5, then you would change it to 3.75. So you're adding an extra 1/4 inch or 0.25 inches to the width of the crayon bag, and then just click done, and you will have the size of your crayon bag. And you would do the same thing by going to size and position, putting your alignment grids there, and then all you have to do is go back to the design that you completed. We'll switch back to the design that you completed, and actually we've already saved this when we moved it from the bottom to this side of the label. So we'll go back to that one and just hit paste. And now we're going to have to resize this so that it'll fit on this size, We'll go down here and drag up the background, and I'm going to move the background to the back by clicking on it and dragging it underneath the text here on the right hand side in the layers. I'm going to do the same thing, take it to the left corner, drag from the right bottom corner until it fills in the whole label. And then what I would do before I make the copy for here, I would ungroup this. I would resize my cat so that it's filling up about the same amount of space it was at the bottom. So you see I have about the same size or amount of space at the top and bottom, a little bigger. And then I would take my Maya. It's probably not going to change much because you can see it's already about the size it needs to be. So all I'll do is reposition these, move this down. The part that says coloring book, I'll right click on it, hit edit text, and change it to crayons. Oops, I had that in all caps. Crayons. Still need to take that little C off of there. Alright, and then I am going to enlarge this some so that it can be seen. And I'm going to click on our soft edge transparent white box, and I'm just going to resize it by pulling on any edges that I need to, just so that I can get it right around my font or my text boxes. I'll move it over a little bit so that it's not on the cat. And I can even move these more to the middle so that it won't look so spread apart. Bring that box down the same amount at the top and the bottom, or however your preference is. Now that I have that set up, we'll do the same thing. Drag from the top left to the bottom right, click our little puzzle piece, go up here to copy. Once it's copied, we'll hit paste. Do the same thing. We're going to measure it up, and it definitely is going to need to be resized. This time it made it a lot bigger, and I'm just going to resize it until it's about the same size. Move it up to the top. It looks like I didn't pull that all the way up. There we go. Easy fix. And I'm going to move this to the center. Once again, we're going to go to size and position, flip, both, which is the bottom choice. Done. And then I'm going to move this over until it's pretty symmetrical on that side of the page. And now you have your crayon label. So you would save these both, this one as well as the one for the coloring book. Save them both individually as JPEGs by going to File, Save As for this one. Save this one as crayon label, and then save the other one as the coloring book label, and you can use those same measurements. You could use those as your masters from now on. Just delete these pictures or save this as the cat and bring your new one up and give it a new name and design right over it and make your new label. So that completes this tutorial. I'll add, as I try to always do, add the finished products, some finished products at the end to show out how I've done these labels on some other projects. And then I'll see you next time. If you don't have a Cricut and you need to cut out or print your design using Word, all you have to do, if it doesn't have the ruler showing across the top of your screen, you're going to click on Search, type in ruler. The first choice says Show Ruler. You click that, the ruler appears, and then you just resize your design like I did with this one. You insert it as a picture, and then you just resize it until it is, this one is 4 by 4 inches in height, and you can see I have it on the 4, and 5.75 inches is right here, and you can see I have that lined up with 4.75 inches. For the crayon label, I started it here on the 6-inch. That way you can get two printed hopefully on one page. I set my margins to a 0.25 or a 1/4 inch, and then to print them both on one page. The crayon, when I started on 6 inches, took it 3 inches to 1, 2, 3, which is 9, and then 0.75 brings it right here to 2 notches below 10. That is your 0.75 marker. And you can print both of your labels on one page.